On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, Lane Johnson joins us. We talk about his OU career, his career in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles, his mental health advocacy. We cover a lot. It is awesome. Please download and subscribe to the podcast, rate it 5 stars, and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Sunday, June 16th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful, award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games, with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack match roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options in the month of June, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, simply the best. Ted, we've got Lane Johnson.
Yes.
Quite possibly the best tackle in all of football, certainly the best right tackle in all of football.
He's getting better as he goes, which is a really nice quality.
We were in the same recruiting class, and to see where he's at now, it is so cool for me and for so many OU fans. I do think it's important. I know a lot of people listen to this podcast with their kids. This is probably not one that you want to have the kids in the car for, or watch it on YouTube with the children. And a long time ago, when I got started in radio and got started in podcasting, I got what I believe is some really good advice, that you don't censor what your guest says. They say what they say, and you just warn people that there's a lot of strong language, and there's quite a bit of strong language in this interview with our guy Lane Johnson.
Yeah. Yep. A little bit expected, but it is a good warning just to look out for it for sure.
So we warned you, people. Don't say that we did it, but it's also we cover a
Really
lot.
good. Yeah.
OU, NFL, mental health, like we cover a lot of ground in this thing. So here he is, the best right tackle in all of football, Lane Johnson. It is our pleasure to be joined by the best right tackle on planet Earth. Lane Johnson is in the house. What's going on, big guy? Where are you?
I'm in Bangor, Maine. First time up here, so I'm up here at my girl's one of her family's homes. So got this. I'm headed back to Philly tomorrow for physicals and get ready for mini camp. So
Yeah, so we're gonna hold on to this interview because we're both going on vacation, so we're gonna hold on to this for a week or two. So you will be in the middle of all of the fun stuff, just having a just great time, I'm sure. But I I wanted to start with your OU career because I think and I had a front row seat to it because we were in the same recruiting class, but I just think it's one of the most fascinating careers in the history of the program. And I wanted to start here, big guy. Why did you ever consider transferring? The position changes, Kevin Wilson constantly yelling at us. Like, did you ever think about it? It's so common now, but I could never recall you even mentioning it to me.
no, I just the last thing I want to do is go back home to, no offense to Sam Houston, or go to like Stephen F., which is like where everybody else like where I'm from goes to. So it's like I'm not about to go back home and tuck my tail. It's like I'll sit here in purgatory for a few years until some things change. But no, I think I had to develop. Obviously, as an athlete, I was a skill position player and I had to move to O line. But I think that I knew I had the athleticism part. I just had to get through the few years of making that transition, which it took me time, to do that. But all in all, it worked out. But it was a fun ride. Yeah, a lot of ass chewings, a lot of good times. But I say, man, just OU makes you, they do make some strong athletes, just mentally tough. As far as what I've experienced in the NFL compared to that, and I know it was a lot worse back in the day whenever Teddy was in the program, but it was a different level of intensity. And when I think about those times, it's, everything else is pretty easy.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about because most people like for me, I wanted to be a linebacker since I was a little kid. It's all I ever thought about, and
Mhm.
that's kind of how most people are. And you had to transition to a bunch of different positions. Like, when did it settle in? Like, or maybe it never did, and it's just where you found yourself that you were going to be a tackle, and you were kind of all in on that.
Yeah, it took me, Bob asked me, I think at the beginning of the spring when I was playing DN if I wanted to do it. And I was like, no. But I mean, I saw, Gabe did it originally. Mensick put on some weight and played tackle. So there were some guys that were doing it. And I just, where I was in my career, I was a redshirt sophomore. I was going to be a rotational guy at best at DN. And then, after a few practices with, in spring, Coach Stoops was like, hey, man, I think you can play a long time in this position. I said, oh, well, I think I'll just stay here. But I think, a lot of my background growing up, I played a lot of basketball. So for me, sliding the feet part was pretty easy. I had to get used to the bull rush. And it took me a few years in the NFL to get used to that. But the footwork stuff, I feel like all that stuff transitioned. Yeah, but I was all settled in. It was right before we started camp, going to my junior year, and that was like, and even then I wasn't starting the beginning of my junior year. Daryl got hurt, I believe, the first game, and so that's when I came in. But yeah, I got real serious that summer, going into my junior year.
Was there any point where you were like, I can be really, really good at this? Where the light came on a little bit? Do you remember a moment like
Uh,
that?
I mean, I think the Insight Bowl, like, there was some progressions. Obviously, my Florida State, like, first half was bad, and then after that, I started just increasingly getting better. But I felt like really after the Insight Bowl, um, junior year against Iowa, I can't remember. We won that game, didn't we? It was
Yeah,
31 to,
remember
yeah. I remember
the
Mike
little
Daniels.
well, yeah, but poor Hayburn had to block that guy. That was he was on the other side the entire game. I didn't have to touch him. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But the main memory I have from that game is the sky cam almost falling on us when we were in the huddle.
Yeah. And that was at, where was that at? El Paso?
No,
Where was
that
that
was
at?
at
Or
Arizona
Tempe?
State
Arizona.
Tempe.
Stadium.
Yeah.
Tempe.
Tempe.
I think it was Tempe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think after like my junior year, obviously I had to make a switch, and I fucking hated spring ball. So there was some practices I was bullshitting. I remember Coach Height bringing me in. It was like, you think you're going to get drafted the first day? He said you're not going to get drafted at all. He said, and they started Tyrus that spring game, and he was like, "You think this is a joke?" He said, "Wait till the week opener, you'll see if it's a joke." But I mean, I knew going into camp, that's when I had to really, and that's when I really, it's my last year. I'm about to give it all I got. But to answer your story, I knew I had a chance to play in the NFL going, after my junior year, that last game, I felt like I was starting to get in tune. My kick sets were starting to look like a tackle on film. And yeah, I was starting to grow into my body a little bit more.
Yeah, I think one of the most impressive things is like physically your obviously your athleticism, but the strength and everything. Where does that foundation come from? Did you start the strength and conditioning stuff when you were young?
Uh,
Did you have a good high
I
school
mean,
program?
we had a good high school program, but we had a guy that was an a power lifter there. I think he went to SMU. His brothers played at SMU, so he was kind of like the main trainer for our guys in college. So yeah, I mean, I'm not. Sometimes he'd make us bench consecutive days. I'm like, what are we doing, bro? And he's like, you got to eat every day. So I'm not sure the science all mixed up, but I think when I got to OU, we lifted some in JUCO is more like auxiliary lifts, tempo, everybody get on a machine. But, I can say from my first 2 years at being in Oklahoma that my strength really went through the roof. But, you're working on plyos every day. You're doing that med ball stuff every day. You're doing the hurdles every day. And you just stack that up year after year, day after day. And then, yeah, I just think, Gabe obviously making the transition and Mensick making the transition helped my confidence tremendously because Gabe was playing right away. It seemed like he gained 50, 60 pounds, you know, in the like 6, 7 months, and he was there. But those guys gave me confidence, and you know, I think, you know, OU's done it before with Jamal Brown and different guys like that, moving guys around.
Lane used to set an alarm, Ted. Lane used to set an alarm at like 3 a.m. and wake me up, and we'd chug those Gatorade shakes to try to add weight.
Well, dude, the worst fear was like, well, sometimes he would like weigh you fucking after the workout, and so I'm like barely 305 before, and he started one summer weighing us in after. I'm like, bro, what the fuck am I gonna do? But yeah, if you didn't make your weight, sometimes yeah, you'd be sitting there chugging 7 pounds of those 320 calorie Gatorade shakes until you made weight. So I tried to get it over at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Who was it? Who was the tackle that someone I heard this story where he was taking the, you know, the little weights that go in the weight vest?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And he was hiding those like in his girdle and stuff, whenever
Oh,
he
I was guilty of a 2.5 or a
Yeah,
5
oh,
pound
yeah.
plate in the shorts every
Oh,
once in a
yeah.
while.
Yeah, we needed those ones that go in the weight vest, the slender ones, because sometimes
Yeah.
you'd have a fucking, you know, stripped down. You got a big old 2.5 in your girdle. Some guys already had a 2.5 pound weight, but I didn't have any. I had to fucking, I had to have mine in my girdle. But yeah, that was what was funny too is like I remember like my freshman year, some guys would get in there butt ass naked, would get in there on the scale, and like we're all on the assembly line, and Rodney's just writing the weights on the whiteboard.
Jermaine Gresham on the scale playing the recorder butt naked during training camp is still just oh my gosh.
He was taking showers. He was throwing shower on his back with that thing.
Okay. Let's I think everyone loves hearing every former OU player's favorite Schmitty story, and you got a lot with all the with all the weight gain, all the position changes. Do you have a favorite one though? Like one that stands out the most to you?
Just you know, we used to do a set of 50 every day before med ball or for med ball warm ups, and then fucking one summer he just goes 100, and people were like, "Did he fucking say what he thought he said? 100?" I did. So we switched it to 100, and then one time we were on the, you remember this? We were on the duck pond hill, and so we're at an incline, and we're doing the med ball tosses across, and so you're working one side of your body, and I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever done. And then Josh Aladnoy guys were missing their balls, and it was going into duck pond, and he was making them wait out there and go get it.
He made Woods go get it out of the duck pond.
Oh my god!
Woods probably woke up in the duck pond from the night before.
Do you remember when they put that new field turf in on the practice field and the sleds?
Oh, we had to push the sleds.
Oh my gosh, that's
the only time.
That's the only time I remember him ever going, all right, my bad, man.
What they do? They like melt to the surface.
It was like a brand new tire. It would not move.
Hey, if Stephen Good broke, I broke, Ben Habron broke, everybody broke, and we're going, we have no man left, sir. We're all fucked up.
That's the worst part though, is like whenever because I was always like the 8 o'clock group in the morning, which is the perfect group to be in. But like whenever you're pulling in and you see like guys that are like clearly have fallen out that are not finishing the workout, it's like, oh my God, what is going on out there? You know, it's like getting led to the slaughter.
Oh yeah, and you just ask people, how was it? And they don't even look at you. They just that's the same. I got the same answer every day.
Favorite game. Favorite game. Favorite game. We had some good ones.
Oh yeah, we had some good ones. Probably the OSU, the triple overtime at home, the one Brennan scored on.
Man, that was a fun game.
That was just because it was so many plays. You know, probably lost 15 pounds in that game. Dude, looking back, there were some games we had 110, 120 plays. I'm like, man, there were some definitely long games for sure. That one, I remember my senior year against your junior year against Texas. Played them. That was a good stomping. Unfortunately, I remember the Notre Dame game just because I was like, these things, they have the goldest helmets ever. It's true. It's true what they said in the movies. I remember Florida State my first game just because I couldn't hear. I was getting bull rushed. I was late off the snap, and I was like, "Fuck, bro, this is it's like I'm in a blender and I can't get out." I didn't for the first half, but yeah, really those few games. Yeah,
Was there was there a matchup like a player that you went up against, defensive end or backer or something that was really tough, or you put a lot of work into it over the week or something, or something
I
that
think
really sticks out?
some of the key matchups. Jeff Coat was big at the time. Alex Okafor was big at Texas. There's a guy at TCU as a freshman. So Devontae Fields, I believe his name was.
Wow, what a recall.
Yeah, Devontae Fields. Really, those are the few players. Yeah, just thinking. Yeah, there was a lot of different looking guys at the Senior Bowl that were a lot bigger matchups, but no, really, I mean, just Okafor was probably one of the better players that I faced. Jackson Jeffcoat was ranked high that year. I don't think anybody else. Yeah, that's really it. I just yeah, I just remember us going so fast. We had the rocket laser package 1 through 10. Top five was, I believe, it was on a run. One of them was run, one of them was pass, and we ran a lot of plays. We had to be in shape, and we were in shape. We might not have looked as jacked as some of the OSU players, but we can run.
We absolutely could. We'll get you back to the interview, but first, Love's Travel Stops is now offering a nationwide 10-cent per gallon discount on gas and auto diesel. Just download the Love's Connect app and scan your barcode at the prompt on screen and watch that price drop 10 cents per gallon. Across the country, the Love's Connect app unlocks exclusive deals and can help any traveler plan their route or meal on the highway. So before you hit the road, be sure to download the Love's Connect app to save 10 cents per gallon and experience the country's best highway hospitality at Love's Travel Stops. Love's also has you covered if you forget your phone charger or headphones with their expanded mobile to go zone. And of course, don't forget to grab yourself some of that delicious Java Amore.
And celebrate with a Schooner All-American Ale, the official craft beer of OU Athletics from Coop Ale Works. Named after the iconic Sooner schooner that races across Owen Field after an OU score, you can join in on the celebration with an ice-cold beer from Coop Ale Works. You can enjoy it at the Palace on the Prairie, at OU Athletic events, at the bar, at the tailgate, and in the comfort of your own home. For more information on Schooner All-American Ale, visit schoonerale.com. Must be 21 to purchase. Please drink responsibly. Schooner All-American Ale, the taste of game day.
And we love Simple Modern. Simple Modern is an Oklahoma-owned drinkware company and number one drinkware sales leader on Amazon and Target. This summer, Simple Modern launched its Summer Shop, where they drop new and unique drinkware options every other Tuesday all summer long. Now you can get your own limited edition version of their extremely popular 40-ounce Treks in designs you won't see anywhere else. And even better, Simple Modern exists to give generously, donating 10% of all profits, so you can know you're helping better Oklahoma and beyond with every purchase. Check out the Summer Shop and all their amazing products at simplemodern.com. All right, back to the interview. Now, let's transition to your NFL career. And when you went to the Senior Bowl and you had the week that you had, what was the feeling like after that, knowing this couldn't have gone much better and I just made myself a lot of money?
I just remember when the practices were over, I was just like, "Whoa, that the stress is over." At least for a few weeks. Yeah, I feel like that did more for me than the combine. I think guys just wanted to see how, obviously how we're going to translate against SEC, ACC players. But yeah, just after the first couple of practices, I knew what it was. I was excited, bro, but you know how I was. I was always stressed out back then. I was like, well, what do we got next? I couldn't wait to get home and fish or do something to get out of what was going on. Always worked out, but I like staying low key. But yeah, I knew I made some money. But I knew I had a few months to kind of hang out or see some of my friends before, the season kicked off or OTA started. So, yeah, I mean, that was really it. It all went by so fast, from the end of our last game to combine to, it was all just a few short months.
Do you think because you mentioned several times how fast you guys went, how many snaps? Do you think the kind of the slower pace of the Senior Bowl and like kind of even the NFL helped you settle into that position a little bit more?
Oh yeah. I mean, I just like I said, I feel like I was a tight end in the tackle body, which is, like it seemed like I was far as like reacting to the stunts, it was just it was natural to me. What natural was I had to gain weight and adjust to that. But yeah, I mean that was really it. It was a lot easier transition to tight end. I can tell you that much for me because I didn't have to catch any passes, didn't have to worry about where to line up. So more physically demanding, but less. Didn't have to think about a whole lot. Some guys coming off the edge every now and then, picking up some different twists and backers alignments. So it was kind of a lot more simplified. And I just I already hung out with O-line guys anyway. So, but I've always loved their brotherhood. And this is probably like y'all guys on defense. You just like hanging around your crew and being with them. And we had a great group of guys. I mean, we all had fun together and yeah, man, we all when we got in the workouts, we all bled together. I mean, we all suffered together. It was just that's what we did, and we enjoyed it.
You end up going fourth overall to Philly. What was it like initially being drafted that high, coming into that city, coming into that organization? Like what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it's just I felt like it was a lot of pressure at the time. For me, it's just like I said, it all went by so fast, and you kind of don't know what you're getting into. You hear how tough Philly fans are, but I got to say, I did have a good group of O line guys. Todd Harriman's really took me under his wing. Evan, Kels, Jason Peters. But yeah, I mean, initially I was like, wow, Michael Vick's my quarterback. LaShawn McCoy is my running back. D-Jack, Macklin, Jason Avant, those guys at receiver. And yeah, I just, I felt from a football perspective that it was pretty similar, just the offense and how Chip Kelly operated. So I felt like that was similar, but for me, it was trying to adjust to a lot of things. Obviously, my firstborn, Jace, was born after my first preseason game. So just a lot was going on, as I'm trying to learn football, I'm getting a new house, getting used to the city. So, after I would say about 8 games, I had a rough stretch. Feel like I was giving up like a sack a game. I just had, I feel like kind of miscalculations. I don't know if with coaching or how I was approaching it, but I was just turning. I wasn't kicking out. I felt weird because I was playing left the year before and I felt unbalanced. But, anyways, really after, 8 games, I felt like I started to get the hang of things. I was a good run blocker, I feel like, from the very beginning, but I had to really work pass blocking. And so that took a little bit. Initially, after the first 8 games of my season, it started picking up.
You mentioned earlier you struggled early on in the NFL with the bull rush. Was that just a matter of slowly over time putting the size on and getting bigger and a little more durable?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, size helps, but a lot of it was timing. It was like syncing my foot strike with my hand strike. So, if my hands are attached, my feet aren't off the ground and they all have to be synced together. So, I felt like my striking got better, and I just felt like who I practice against every day, Brandon Graham. He's 6'1", he's listed at 280. He's about 295. So, but a big dude. Especially you talk to taller tackles, those 6'1", 6', 6'2" defenders can get a lot of leverage under you. So, I credit him for getting me better with that. But yeah, I mean, I came in at probably 305. I played a lot of my career around 315, and then I've been 325, 330 the past probably 4 years. But it's a lot easier to keep on weight now. Now I find myself you got to kind of watch what you're eating, not eat too much. Feel like I can retain water more. But yeah, I think after the initial few seasons, my bull rush, had to go against Kerrigan too. He had a good long arm stab. So I think that, and then just obviously you get a lot more stronger in the NFL because we're not running as much. The conditioning, strength and condition is a lot different than college, and as you know, a lot of it's up to you. But I feel like we had a good strength staff, and I feel like really Chip kind of put sports science kind of on the map as far as monitoring, guys' GPSs, asleep, and all that. That's really taken off to where it is now in the NFL.
How different have things been under the different head coaches that you've had in Philly? Like, have there been
Yeah.
big time changes?
I mean, football's football. Yeah, Doug's offense was a lot different than Chip's. I mean, it was more traditional NFL, West Coast. Mostly all the plays are the same. It's just like, we have, Kellen Moore's our OC now. A lot of same stuff, just different names for it, different terminology. But, yeah, for me, I mean, just there's different routines. Some, Chip's practices were pretty short, kind of like Sirianni's is now. I felt like Doug was more old school, kind of like Andy Reid, very long practices. Training camp, they're going to try to grind you out. And so, yeah, so just different philosophies you can see with coaches. But Doug was definitely more old school. But Chip was all about, get in, get out. We're going to get a lot of reps. But, he was big on the sports science, the HRV, trying to keep track of that was funny, trying to keep Deshaun Jackson, seeing what his HRV was at 7 a.m. You can say some guys weren't healthy practitioners of that, so that kind of got out quickly. But yeah, it's a lot more. Yes, it's not as tough, the training camps now compared to what they were. Like when Teddy was playing, like it was a lot different back in those days.
I literally played at the worst time you could possibly play football. It was horrible. The timing was miserable.
I feel like the game would be tailor made for your body right now. You know what I'm saying? You're the perfect specimen for today's game.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you were back then too. I think if you don't hurt your foot, there's not too many white dudes running a 10 something in the 100. So
yeah,
as white guys, we always remember that.
Who knows? Who knows what would have happened? But one thing that I thought was always crazy, and I'm sure we'll talk about your Super Bowl run in a little bit different fashion. But what's that grind like? Because I'm always like, when I'm watching the Super Bowl, I'm thinking everyone else in the league's been off for a month and a half.
Yeah.
And as soon as the game's over, you've got there's like a week-long celebration, and it's like it's time to start again almost already. It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I can tell you the difference between winning one and losing one is you feel good for a few months, and then you're back to work like nothing happened. So yeah, I mean it's a long process, and like even during the off season, it's like you can't be going balls to the wall all the time. You have to learn how to pace yourself and really ramp up when you need to, and listen to your body. So as you get older, you become more aware of that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these rookies coming in, they have to get adjusted to how long everything is. It's a long season. Yeah, and just with how we approach our lifting, we all want to peak towards February. Everything's designed towards that. But yeah, it's a tremendously long season. You got a bye week, and just it's a lot different schedule. You don't have a whole lot of free time. We get Tuesdays off. It's usually our off day, but a lot of that's spent on recovery. And then a lot of times you're traveling. But, once after the first 4 or 5 games pass, I feel like the season gets into a good flow to where games are going by pretty quickly.
Looking back on the Super Bowl win, what's your favorite memory from that run? You guys did the underdog things. You beat the Patriots. Looking back on it now, what's kind of your favorite memory of that entire experience?
Probably just after we won it, I sat on the bench for like 30 seconds and just watched everybody just run and go crazy. But I think after, I didn't go to the party just because a lot of fan stuff got in there, but I was just chilling with Brooks, me and Brandon. Sit out by the hotel. It was cold for, it was blizzard, but, drank a lot of beers and some other things. And, yeah, I mean, we kind of just partied ourselves. Yeah, I think it was a team that where, after Carson went down, we weren't expected to do what we did. So I don't think that we faced the same pressures as as like a Patriots team would have at the time, because they're expected to be there. Whenever Nick came in and played the way he played, we won. It wasn't ever expected, but I got to say, it was fun. It was a blast, and you really don't realize how important football is in Philly until you win the damn Super Bowl. And they still talk about it. And yeah, man, it's a great memory. But it was just like I said, I was saying earlier, it all goes by so quick. I mean, after that parade's over, you're back in OTAs, like there is no trophy, you didn't win, and hey, start over. So I think a lot of players, you get to kind of reflect and enjoy on stuff whenever it's over. And yeah, I mean, the last one hurt because I felt like our team was just as good, or maybe even more talented, but we just couldn't finish it. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this year. There's a team that I say, that has talent compared to some of these other teams that I've been on. Some really good teams. This will be it. So that's paper roster talk. So we obviously got to go prove it. But I'm definitely looking forward to it.
We'll get you back to the interview, but first,
all you grill masters, listen up. Didier Ranch delivers premium quality beef that is 100% raised in Oklahoma right to your front door. Go to didierranch.com, DIDIER ranch.com to order one of their premium quality beef boxes and use promo code Oklahoma15 for 15% off your order. Filet, ribeye, New York strips, sirloin, steak burgers, they've got it all, and they ship anywhere in the continental U.S., and Oklahomans get their deliveries in just 1 to 2 days. The only thing better than having a lot of premium beef on the O and D line is having premium beef delivered right to your front door. Didier Ranch, tradition tastes better.
And head to the garage for hand smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and some ice cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game. And with all garage locations being open to 10 p.m. or later every night, it is the go-to late night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood. All right, back to the interview.
How are you physically? I mean, you've stayed pretty healthy throughout.
Yeah.
You feel pretty good right now?
Yeah. I mean, I had the groin issue 2 years ago, but nothing really. I mean, my main thing is I try to be as strong as I can, and then, work on the flexibility part, because, a lot of guys, as they get older, they get stiff. They lose the range of motion and different stuff. So for me, being able to bend and being able to be strong as hell when I need to be in some certain aspects. So yeah, I feel good. I think, one of the best things that I did was hired my trainer, Gabe Rangel, back in the 17 season, going to my 18 season. I just had a bunch of injuries. He's a former Marine. I did 2 stints in overseas, but he trained at Exos for a long time. He's worked at Tulsa, Ohio State, but he trained Chris Long and some guys out there in LA for a few years. And I called him out, and so yeah, man, just having a good program and staying to that, I think, has been a big help for me, especially the latter part of my career, where I've had some injuries, had to bounce back, but. If you play in the NFL, you're going to get hurt. It's part of it. But yeah, as you get older, you still got to be strong and flexible. So that's what I kind of concentrate on.
What's life without Jason Kelce going to be like for you?
Ooh, I mean, I'm going to be bored. I know that. I mean, I got Landon, I got my guys that I love and laugh at, but a lot of our times was, sitting next to Kels, just bullshitting with him, reading ridiculous stuff. Acting, doing stuff in the job when you're 35 or whatever, you're not supposed to be acting like that. So that's what I'm going to be missed. I'm going to miss acting just like Step Brother's been there. I just, for him, I don't think I ever seen him look at the playbook, really. He understood everything so well. He could teach it so well, and he just knew things. So, football was just a lot of fun. It was somebody that was so passionate about that, or would get so angry about stuff. That means football, he cares a lot about the game. And so when you see guys that care to that much about it, it makes you love them that even more. So, but hell, I don't think he'll be too busy. He's just working Monday nights. So hopefully he'll be in there so maybe later in the week.
It is kind of the forgotten aspect of it. People talk about like the talent and who's playing what position and who has what stats. It does feel like the chemistry part of it is glossed over a little bit too often.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, I'm losing Fletcher Cox too. I mean, it's another one of my bros that you've been in this game for a long time, and you see somebody so dominant and has such a storied career, and then next thing you know, he's retired, he's been set free, and he's living his best life. But I think I'll end up seeing these guys a lot during the season. I mean, obviously they have houses, they have their careers here in Philly, but I mean, it's just the way it is, the turning of the guard. But I really like these young guys, and I'm starting to connect with them. I've always had a great relationship with my O-line crew, but just the new guys coming in, the Nolans, the Jalen Carters, the Jordan Davises, getting to know these guys, and that's the future of our football team. So it's damn important to get these guys going.
You've been there a long time now, and along with Kelsey and of course Jalen Hurts, now you've kind of become one of the faces of the organization. What did it mean to you with how much time and energy you've put into Philadelphia? What did it mean to you to be the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the team?
Oh man, it was awesome. I just thought I wanted to acknowledge the guys that, obviously the military, but big part of kind of my goal is, when I get done, I always wanted to obviously get back to Kilgore, my junior college, and eventually my high school. But I think giving back to those guys, those people, it's obviously helped their program. They've done really well, but just for the future, I remember, as a young guy, not having many offers out of high school, and that was my only chance. So to see guys, come from small schools like that, Jimmy Butler went to TJC, Jason Pierre-Paul played at Fort Scott, Levante David. A lot of big names have come from very small schools. So, a little bit of money goes a long way down there. So that was cool. I got to meet with a lot of Gold Star families, which is something that Gabe helped me a lot with. And so just bringing families from the military. So I wear this Travis Manion shirt a lot. They're the organization in Philly that, when I talk to a lot of these guys, this was the foundation that really helped them rehab the best or get on with their lives, especially if they lost a spouse or somebody. So this is the organization to help them. So it's a local Philly organization, Travis Manion, and then Ryan Manion is his sister that runs it. So man, it was an honor. And I at the time I didn't realize how big it was, but I got to learn throughout the process and going to Vegas and seeing that.
That's awesome stuff. Now, the WrestleMania thing, is this like, are we gearing up for a career after football, or was this just a one-time thing? Because I got to tell you, you look pretty natural out there.
Yeah, man, I would like to be a one-shot Johnny. I would like, I think that leaving the NFL and going into that, your just body would be done. But no, it was a cool experience. You don't realize how how everything goes in order. I just remember not knowing a whole lot until, maybe an hour before the match, kind of what was going to happen or what we thought was going to happen. So, yeah, I got to meet Ray and Dom Mysterio. And Ray's been at it, ever since I was a little kid. He's been going at it for years, man. I think he's got to be in his 50s or close, but still athletic. After you go back behind the curtain, Triple H and these guys are watching kind of the performance through the curtain, and then you have all the guys getting ready to go out, lifting their dumbbells, getting ready. So obviously, yeah, I wasn't doing much, but Kelsey could. He's no longer on the roster, so he got to do a little bit more shoving and throwing. But man, it was fun, and yeah, it was something that it's a kind of a childhood dream.
Where'd you get the Big Dom shirt? Because I feel like that's what everyone noticed with your part was you were wearing that shirt was perfect for the occasion.
Yeah, I was just thinking what would, I thought about wearing a Chris Long shirt or I wanted to get something that would catch attention and just, Dom not being there for a lot of the year because he got suspended from the sidelines. It was like a perfect, thanks, Dom. We love you. We love you, big guy. So if I could put on that shirt to do that, hell, I did it.
Were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Yeah, I was a big, obviously in the '90s, the Attitude Era, The Rock, Stone Cold, those guys, The Big Show. Was it WW? Was it or WCW with Goldberg and NWO? Those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to have the NWO shirts and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, when I was 8 or 9 years old, that was the thing. Monday Night Raw, or it was what it was. It was a big event.
Now, what was more fun, or maybe what was more exhilarating, the WrestleMania stuff, or Zach Bryan calling you up on stage for Revival at Oklahoma City?
That the Zach Bryan, because I felt like I was on a fucking microwave oven up there, the way it seemed. And yeah, I didn't want to mess up the words, and they didn't. That was my first Zach Bryan concert, and so I didn't know that during the revival that one of their staging was going to pass out. So I thought he was having a fucking heart attack on stage. So I did my best to revive him the best I could, but he got back up on his own, and I sang some of the words and got off that stage. But yeah, that was a hell of a performance. I think that's the first concert I've been to in uh, maybe a few years. Definitely my first one in OKC, so won't be my last, old boy.
Uh,
That's a probably a different view looking out at the crowd. I bet that's intimidating, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's very intimidating. Just because what we do, we have our helmets. Sometimes we got our visors, so we're not seen.
You
So,
kind of hide out there a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah, you can't hide it all out there. And it was there was a lot of people on stage too, so you had to watch out where you were going.
Lane looked so big next to all these people because we went to dinner and like we were sitting together before they came and got him and went down and he went down and like talked to Zach Bryan and then went on the stage, Ted. And he gets on this stage and he just looked, I mean, because he is enormous, but it was just a hilarious visual from my vantage point.
Oh, that's good.
I,
He did a
That's
little
good.
stepping stool.
yeah, I do want to hit the mental health advocacy stuff because clearly it's become a big deal for
Mhm.
you. And I kind of had a front row seat to the anxiety at at
You did.
OU, and
You did.
that kind of carried into the early in your NFL career. But what point did you become so comfortable talking about it?
uh, Probably. I mean, after 21, I mean, the big reason why I left the team was because my ankle was I had surgery on it the week before, and I couldn't. I went into training camp not being able to run. I was hobbling on my leg, and it was 3 weeks. I was pondering, what the hell am I going to do? Am I going to finish the season? Do I need to set out the season and rehab it some more? So, yeah, I mean, I always had anxiety when I was at OU. When it got bad enough to where it was affecting like my appetite, I was losing weight, and I felt like it affected my ability to focus. Most of all, I was always, you know, anxious, and I wasn't very present. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, after I went to the pros office, Josh New kind of set me up with that. I was telling him kind of what I was feeling. He was feeling like I was, as about 80% of my team was. Yeah, but after that conversation, first of all, I became educated kind of what anxiety was, what I was feeling, why I was feeling it. Obviously, I think a lot of it was, I put pressure on myself. We're at obviously a program to where you can't have hardly any losses, if any. And, you have a few years kind of maximize what you're going to do. And so, you know, here I was kind of like a teapot, just constantly, burning. But I knew what I wanted to do. I put a lot of pressure on myself. But that's where the anxiety started. And then, obviously I had it off and on, during the NFL career. But, when it became a burden to me was whenever I couldn't play because obviously my ankle injury the year before. And so, yeah, I was coming back. I couldn't run. I couldn't change direction. I was out there trying to play, and I'm like, man, what the hell am I doing? And I was I got away for 3 weeks, talked to some guys and kind of planned out what I was wanting to do. And then, really, my ankle's just now probably getting close to 100. It's probably been 80, 90 compared, to what it was before the surgery. So yeah, man, it's been a long battle with that ankle. But I just, I was playing at a certain level, and if my ankle at that time when I was feeling this, if I felt like it was going to compromise my ability to play how I wanted to, I was like, I'd rather go out than be a shell of my former self. You know what I'm saying? And some guys don't give a fuck. Some guys will go out there and be a former shell of themselves and still make a lot of good money. But I guess I was too prideful to do that. So that's what I was thinking. I was at a crossroads to where this is it, boy. It's time to make a decision. But that was it, because that surgery I had was really, really bad, and it really messed my stuff up.
We'll get you back to the interview, but first, attention business owners, you need Insurica in your life. Insurica is one of the country's largest insurance brokers with 30 offices throughout Oklahoma, Texas, and the Southwest. Insurica is able to customize programs by accessing the latest information from many insurance carriers. They compare and contrast coverage offerings and pricing in order to design a cost-effective, comprehensive program to meet your business's specific needs. If your business partners with Insurica, you'll save huge amounts of money and take back control of your total cost of risk. If your business wants to be best in class, connect with Insurica at insurica.com. That's INSURICA.com.
And head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com. Use promo code TED for 10% off. TED for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Use promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
All right, back to the interview. It seems like it's become really important for you to talk to kids about this stuff, like high school athletes,
Yeah.
college athletes. Like, why have you chosen to do that? Because talking about yourself just publicly, it's one thing, but going and talking to teams and schools, like that's taking it to a different level, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, the guy that I talked to for sports psychology, his name's Brian Kane. And he works with a lot of the PGA guys, NBA, all the sports. And so he works with the elite of the elite. And so he knows, obviously that we're in a world of distraction today, and that people's abilities to focus is kind of compromised. So I tell them, kind of how, my past few years have been, and, how I've gotten out of my hole. But a lot of it was, obviously establish goals. And, you have to make a conscious effort to do them every day. Almost, it seems silly at the time, but for me, a lot of it is about eliminating distractions. There's even during the year, there's an app called Block Site, so I don't access the internet. I don't read any Eagle stuff. I don't read any. And I still watch my goofy ass YouTube videos. I got to have those, but
of course. Let's not be ridiculous.
Let's not be ridiculous. So I remove a lot, 90% of bullshit that I don't need to be reading. And yeah, before games, I'm playing a lot of, doing a lot of concentration grids. I'm doing a lot of, it's called like a psych test, the Stroop effect, where they have like red and green, but the green is in red, and you have to, kind of like the combine test we do at the combine. So I do that before games, but for me, a lot of it's about, breathing, learning when to relax, and then learning, how to be a man with, different coats. I don't have to be a football player all the time. I have a separate identity away from football. Football is not who I am. So, I think I can fully relax the most when I'm back home in Oklahoma, because people, obviously they love football, but they're not going to bother you, or any of that, because they just, I guess, a slower pace of life. And up there is a little bit different. I kind of seclude myself. But the main message I talk to these kids about is, get off these damn phones. You're programming yourself to have a goldfish brain with your 3-second videos, swipe, swipe, swipe. And so I'm like, hey, be wary of what that's doing to you. And I feel like what they call us, the anxious generation, the Gen Z generation, is because there's too much information out there. A lot of it's bullshit information, and everybody wants to be the first to absorb it. The fear of missing out, and what I say, it's all bullshit. It's all an illusion. Um, it's called it's from being too spoiled in America. That's what it's from. But like I said, exercise I think is number one. I think without obviously if I wasn't playing football, I'd try to be in the gym. I just feel like for me, in order to be the best version of myself mentally, I need to basically get the demons out of me somehow. Working out, sauna, whatever it is. But I feel like that rids a lot of anxiety too. So a lot of it's getting off these phones and getting out in nature, and go to Maine if you get a chance.
It looks pretty
Bangor,
nice, boy.
Maine. That's cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know you got years left. You're not done yet.
Yeah.
But I cannot stress how proud of you I am, dude. From coming in together to where you're at now, probably going to the Hall of Fame someday. Like
Probably.
You never know.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
And now the mental health stuff and just not only the player but the man you've become, dude. I could not be prouder of you.
Yeah, well, I want to tell you, just you're one of the few guys that always, you always had more confidence in me than I may have had in myself. But I realized that a long time ago, and I still do now. So, love you, brother. Yeah, man, I got some good years left. I feel like me and Trent, the older we get, there's few guys that can test it. But I feel like 34, 30. I was a late bloomer in high school and college. I'm gonna be a late bloomer, so I'm thinking 34 to 36, 37, 3 or 4 more years, and I'll be good.
Well, there you go. Then we can start doing really fun stuff once you're done.
Then we can start golfing. Yeah.
Yeah. Golfing, skiing, all the fun stuff. All right, boy. I love you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Love you too. All right, Teddy. Thanks for having me on.
I hope I didn't make it awkward there at the end. I really I love that guy. We lived together at OU. We went through a lot together. And to see him have the success he's having, I don't know. I feel like a proud older brother, maybe, is the best way to describe it.
No, it's good. I can totally understand that. It hasn't always been easy, I mean, I think that's maybe something people forget whenever you see a superstar on television. Like, you just roll out of bed and that happens. There's a lot of ups and downs physically, mentally, that come with it. So I can totally understand that.
4-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler.
And he says he's got 3 or 4 left.
That's going to make Philly fans very happy.
Yeah.
Because when he is right, my goodness, he's almost boring to watch, because I'm able to access the NFL film and I'll go watch him. I'll go watch Creed. And sometimes I just turn Lane's game off. I can tell, like, in the first 15 snaps, it's like, okay, yeah, no, nothing's happening here. I'm not going to watch any more of this. He's got it. He's fine. So
it's like a lockdown corner at offensive line. You throw the ball away from the corner the whole time, right?
Yeah,
you figure out a way to try and play defense without having to beat the right tackle.
Yeah, he better go to the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
I mean, he's been so good. I should have asked him if he thinks he's better than Trent. That would have been a fun conversation. On that note, episode 431 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Wednesday. Ted will finally be back from vacation.
Yes.
So we'll catch up on softball, baseball, anything else that has happened. We'll catch up on everything. Maybe the entire episode will just be called Catching Up.
Catching up. I'm sure there'll be plenty of stuff that has happened.
Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and please subscribe to the podcast on our YouTube channel. Hope you all have a great start to your week. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.